Oh, what's going on, guys? Quick sound check. Appreciate it, Kaylin, Mike. How you guys doing this morning? Good morning, prayer. Parker. Awesome, awesome. No complaints over here. None whatsoever. The internet seems to be back up. Doesn't seem to be any issues that I am seeing here. So I am ready for today. Went ahead and called yesterday a little bit early, about 9:30, and just went ahead and got some other things done there. But looking forward to getting back into it today. Yeah, the NQ level 79.75 missed short by a tick. I had actually 79.50 in place yesterday for the Nasdaq. We'll take a look at that as well. So, as well as some levels going into today. So, let's jump in and get it started here. I'm going to take a look at the Forex Factory calendar here for the morning. I've checked quotes here a little bit and kind of taking a look at the opens, the highs, the closes, and stuff like that so far. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper here this morning. I haven't had as much time this morning to kind of run my analysis. So coming into today, the first thing we have is going to be 10 a.m. We've got consumer confidence numbers. We've got Richmond manufacturing, new home sales, all that stuff. Then at 1 o'clock, we got Fed Chair Powell speaking. And then later tonight at 10 o'clock, we got official cash rate and whatever this rate statement is and all that kind of stuff coming out as well later. That'll be at 10 o'clock. We'll see if that affects the U.S. markets or not. But keep in mind, 10 o'clock, we do have some news here that could move the U.S. markets here. So taking a look across the board this morning, we've got S&P is down 0.01% there. We're down a quarter of a point. Nasdaq down 0.08%, Russell down 0.03%, and the Dow up 0.07%. The Dow is actually probably one of the most impressive looking charts that I see on the board, given the price action from yesterday and then the price action in the overnight session. So let's dive in. We'll start off with the S&Ps here and take a look. Maximize this sell, maybe. There we go. All right, so coming into yesterday, even though I wasn't really looking to trade given all the kind of issues and things like that, and I thought we would have pretty much an inside day really across the board and kind of stay with inside this, do not trade zone here, which is what we ended up doing. So thankfully that ended up being the case there. No crazy breakouts, no moves to miss. But these levels are still going to stay in place. 29.6275 is an important level to break to the upside. Given yesterday's action, it actually allows us to add in a new level here at 29.5950s. Overnight highs in there are 29.58 quarters. I do think at some point today we will come up and test and trade inside of this zone. I think we'll come up into this 59.50 here and maybe even work our way up into 62.75s. To the downside, we still have 44.50s in place here for the S&Ps. Overnight lows come in at 42 quarters. So we pushed through by about 2 points there in the overnight session. And then now rallying out of that, kind of 44s. We're up about 8 points from that, currently unchanged on the day for the S&Ps. So if we sell off in the morning, first thing here, 44.50s are going to need to hold. If 44.50s can hold, on a first attempt, there are viable opportunities. If they do end up holding after that, then I think we're good for a move up here into 59.50s and then 62.75s. And then if we break that, then we continue to kind of chuck higher here. This price action right now is starting to remind me of kind of this area right back in here. Remember how we kind of based out for 4, 5, 6 days there, and then we finally got the gap up and ripped higher up into where we're currently at. So that's kind of what this action is reminding me of at the moment. Oops. And what I don't want to have happen here is that, I'm anticipating a breakout, I'm anticipating support, something like that. Nothing is confirmed, and then just end up sitting in a losing position or sitting in a sideways position for an extended duration here over the next few days. So I don't think this move will need quite as long as the other ones. I think we either break out most likely today or tomorrow here in the S&Ps. It's not that big of a move that we need to get to break this move out. So I think that'll happen relatively soon. and willing to step in now inside of this kind of do not trade zone, as long as we're at the lower levels of support or once we break out kind of from the top side there. Taking a look at the NASDAQ here. So NASDAQ had levels in the overnight session, well, from yesterday here. This kind of zone that we were looking for markets to stay in yesterday, 79.50s all the way down to 45 quarters to 36s there. We traded up to 79.50s to the tick in the overnight session. That is the overnight high there, 79.50s. We traded as low as 77.14 quarters, which is kind of way down in here. And this is what I was talking about with the strength that we're seeing out of the rest of the markets, right? That 44.50 level in the S&Ps is the same as this 77.36 in the NASDAQ. So S&Ps held that level by about 2 points. NASDAQ broke through that level by like 20 some points there, and continued to push lower. So keep those two things in mind, visualizing just kind of where this chart had went to in relation to this tail and this pivot. And then also when we go over to the Dow, I'll show you what I was looking for in there. So same thing here in the NASDAQ for today. It's going to add us another level up top here. That's going to come in at 77.72 quarters here. So we're currently 52.50s. I think it makes the most sense that NASDAQ can actually kind of sell off down into this 36 to 45 quarter zone here this morning. We're not too far away from that level. I mean, only 7 points in the NASDAQ to reach the top side of this level. So longs on a first attempt down in here are a buyable opportunity for me. And then on the day, if we can break through 77.72 quarters, then I'll start paying closer attention to the NASDAQ here, because at that point we could break through 79.50s and then get our move back up towards kind of 7,800. And then from there, we've got some room to go all the way up here into kind of 78.2750s or so there. Would be the next move on the NASDAQ. So I think that level does in fact trade either today or tomorrow, Thursday at the very latest in this move at least. So that's what I'm looking for there in the NASDAQ. I don't necessarily have a preference here one way or the other. I'm not biased towards the S&Ps or the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ, again, a little bit weaker. It is a little bit weaker on the day percentage change as well, but just a little bit weaker in terms of the price structure and the chart pattern that's currently in. So I will keep that in mind, pay attention to that. But at the moment, I don't necessarily have one or the other that I would necessarily pick if I had to only trade one of those markets. Taking a look at the Russell here. So Russell got down 1530.90s down in here in the overnight session in there. Russell has ended the hourly uptrend here. I mean, it was hanging on by a thread for most of this move here. Nowhere near the reaction that the rest of the markets have had out of those lows here. And gave up like a lot yesterday. The range yesterday was 24 points in the Russell to the downside. That's a pretty decent sized move in there, like $1,200 per contract from high to low there. So Russell ended up just falling off a cliff yesterday, and the question is now, what's it going to do from here? We can mark up some support levels, way down in here on the Russell, 1527s and change. We can go all the way down here into kind of 1516s and change. But at this point, what I want to let the Russell do is get its first rally back. Maybe that comes into kind of 1544 area somewhere in here, right? And then see if it's going to roll over from there. See if it sets up an hourly sell setup, see if it triggers, and see if it gets some continuation of the downside, or see if that hourly setup ends up failing, and then the Russell is back in the game to the upside here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this 59.60 level in there. I don't want to have any levels in place for the Russell here. So Russell's going to need a little bit of a rally here. I think the rest of the markets can move independently of the Russell here. Russell just sold off all day yesterday. S&P's, NASDAQ did a little bit to some degree, but they were mostly range bound, not a complete trend to the downside all day long. I think the markets will move independently of the Russell. I'm not going to use it as a leading or lagging or any type of signal here going into today's session as well. Just going to kind of keep an eye on it if it can set up that hourly setup, which is going to take it a little bit of time to do. And then this is the part I was talking about with the Dow here. So Dow's got this level down in here. This is going to be the same level as kind of that 4450 level in S&Ps and the 36 level in the Nasdaq. That level comes in way down here at 26,631s, and we traded in the overnight session 26,683s. So the Dow ended up not even trading that support level in the overnight session when the S&Ps and the Nasdaq both ended up pushing through that support level. So Dow here much stronger on the day. Currently trading 26,783, so it's actually gapping up a little bit here. S&Ps now gapping up, 0.5 there, half a point. So Dow definitely stronger here on the day, and I'm going to be looking at this for some long opportunities in here. We've got 26,809s that need to break to the top side, and then 26,853s. If those two levels can break, then I think we're good all the way up to basically 27,000 in here. So we're pretty much all new all-time highs there in the Dow futures. Let's take a look at the weekly chart, just make sure. Oh, sorry. Almost 26,966 here. I'm going to go ahead and create an alert right here. 26,967s. At or above. Thank you. And then I want to take a look at the DIA here real quick just to make sure. This is just the spiders for the Dow Jones, the ETF. DIA 269.28. So I'm going to create an alert 269.29. I just want to make sure that the futures and this ETF end up kind of moving there at the same time. So in a perfect scenario, they'll both break out of that level at the exact same time. There may be a little bit of difference there in price depending on rollovers and things like that. But that's why I like to go ahead and make sure I've got both of those marked up. But I really like this weekly chart here in the Dow, and I think this thing continues to push to the upside. So my game plan in here, going back to the hourly chart here, we've got a smaller level we can throw in place here. 26,800 so far, overnight highs 26,827s. So we did push through this, but that was prior to the sell-off there. And then we've got pullbacks here down into 26,761s. So what I'm looking to do here in the Dow is actually get swing long today. We have not traded this support level here. The rest of the markets have. I don't necessarily think that the Dow needs to. So I'm going to be looking to find smaller time frame uptrends today, or some type of divergence entry, something like that, that kind of lines up or with maybe a pullback to 4450s in the S&Ps, or to a pullback to 45 quarter to 36s there in the Nasdaq, something like that, in order to step into the Dow to the long side from a swing perspective, and then ride that up into kind of those new highs up here, 967s, and then hopefully it pushes up into 27,000 there, and we'll just exit at 27,000 on the Dow. So I'd like to make this about a 200 to a 250 point swing trade here in the Dow if possible, coming into today and into tomorrow is kind of my game plan there for the Dow. The level in the DIA was 269.29, I think. Yeah, 269.29 up here. From the weekly chart, that's back last year, October. First week of October of 2018 was when we set those highs here in the DIA. All right. So that's probably actually my favorite trade to get on today that I would like to actually establish as some type of swing trade in there. I'm not opposed to doing something in there with options as well. Would have to look at the DIA for that. To trade that, and let me see. Yeah, 267.44. So like a 30-cent gap up this morning in the DIA there, pretty low IV rank. So yeah, we may be able to get something off here into like kind of July or so expirations. I'll look at that once market finally actually opens up there in the DIA. And then, so that's going to cover the indices here. Going to take a look at gold and crude real quick. Gold just continuing to push higher here. It's got overnight highs 1442.90s. Overnight low is 14.2140, so we're about in the middle of that range. Basically 10 points to go to the upside, 10 points to go to the downside here. I completely missed this entire move. We were watching it, waiting for it. It was basing here at 1350s. Thought it needed a little bit more time, and then you wake up one day and it's at 1390s. And pretty much missed, the first 40 points of that move. And then now I've missed, the next 40 points of that move from 1390 on up. And, sometimes that's just what ends up happening here. So I'm going to let gold continue to work itself to the upside here. It's rallying nicely there. No reason to try and step in front of that train just yet. I think it's got some room here left, kind of up into 1500 or so. 1480 is kind of what we looked at there on the weekly and higher time frame charts for gold. If you did get into the gold move, congratulations to you. That is a really, really nice move. That just continues to push higher. It's almost rallied almost 100 points from the breakout, about 90 points, tagged 42.90s in the overnight session. So nothing for me to do with that here intraday. But just going to allow it to continue to trend. If we can get daily pullbacks or weekly pullbacks in there, then I will look to step back into gold, or step into gold in the first place, considering I missed this move already. So still watching it, just being patient, waiting for the right entry into gold. And then last but not least here is going to be crude oil. So crude oil here, we were waiting for a breakdown to be able to buy, get new lows down in here, and then an immediate reversal of that. Unfortunately, that's not exactly what happened. We ended up coming in. We got a nice gap up last Thursday here, and markets just continued to kind of rip from that. Based out sideways Friday, pulled back a little bit yesterday, and now pushing again to the upside here today. We've gone ahead and filled this gap from last Thursday, or we filled that gap last Thursday, and at this point, we've just got pullback levels here in place for crude, coming in at 57.18s. Overnight session, we traded down to 57.20, so a two-tick front run of these 57.18 support levels, and then just completely ripped out of that again, and set highs of 58.18s in the overnight session so far. So we've got about $1 range here in crude for today. Considering we've already tested this level in the overnight session, and we're pretty much, we're almost to targets here. I mean, we can get kind of 58.30s or so, I think, in this, somewhere kind of right in through here. If we rally up, kind of test this 58.26 level today, and then start rolling off of that and put in the kind of lower high type of pattern and start working into a small time frame downtrend, then I actually think you could potentially short crude for a crack of this 57.18s, and then a move lower in there and kind of work itself back into some of this gap. So we did come off this 56.84 support level in there. We traded 56.75s there. That put that nice bottoming tail in place that gave us the 57.18s. If those 57.18s break, then we're going to get those 56.84s again in crude. We just need to wait for a little bit higher prices here first, and then a rollover or a downtrend to start. If not, if it bases here at 58.26s, then we've still got room. We can push to the upside here, and just follow this hourly uptrend until it wants to end. So, all right, guys, 9:25 here this morning. That's what I've got for you. I think we've got a pretty decent looking day here shaping up. We're going to have to be patient for some entries in both the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. If those set up and we get a swing entry in the Dow, I'm going to be aggressive about taking a swing entry in the Dow to the long side there. I do like that trade a lot. The gold market's going to be continuing to watch those. Crude oil here is going to need higher prices before it can go lower, or it's going to need lower prices before it can go higher here, I think, in the grand scheme of things here for these markets. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for hanging out. Sorry about yesterday and kind of all the technical issues there. I just wanted to stay away from that as much as possible, and did not stream, did not trade, did not do any of that stuff whatsoever. And you can see, as Kaylin mentioned, went ahead and got my nice little sleek cut on, and I got a haircut yesterday and took care of a couple of things, so it was good. But thank you guys. If you want to join me in the MLT Discord, I'll be back live in there in just a couple minutes. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure you click that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We go live each and every morning about 9 o'clock. And if you want to join me in the MLT Discord, there's going to be a link in the description below. Go ahead and click on that link, and I will see you guys in the Discord to trade live with me for the first hour to hour and a half of the trading day each and every day. So take care, trade safe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.